everyone. Welcome back to the Miraculous Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Joy, and we believe in empowering folks through storytelling and education. And I am joined here today with my husband because we are finally going to do our birth story episode.
Woo woo.
We're also joined here by Toula right now. If you can hear her, she is currently nursing. I decided to do her tongue and lip tie stretches, and we're trying to find when we can fit in this recording, and that requires fitting it in with a baby.
It's different having two kids than one.
It is.
It's a lot more work. It's not double the work.
I wanted to say it's a lot easier, almost.
The expectations are easier to deal with. You know, going from no kids to kids is a huge shift. And going from one to another, it's like, okay, I know what it takes. But also the work and the timing and the juggling. And it's 2 on 2 right now. Mm-hmm. Once we get outnumbered, hopefully Jovi will help us.
Yeah,
she'll be on our team
at that point. She's like starting to be a little bit hopeful. Like she today handed me Toula's diaper, then went and threw it away, and that was cute. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely so far feel like going from 1 to 2 is a lot easier than 0 to 1. But
yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be days where I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
The house is on fire.
Well, let's hope it's not on actual fire. So how are you feeling?
Really well.
Yeah. What's different with this birth?
Everything, which we'll go over the entire story with you guys. But it's weird because like anytime somebody like asks me a question, like even like, so this time I'm taking my encapsulated placenta from Jovi, which I didn't take with her. And people are like, well, do you feel like it's helping? And I'm like, I honestly like, I'm glad I took it like as a precaution just because like looking back with Jovi, I'm like, I should have probably taken it.
What are the benefits?
It can just help with tons of stuff, increased energy, postpartum depression. I have a whole podcast.
They last forever? I know you had a podcast on it, but...
These ones do. It depends on who makes them. Okay. Mommy made encapsulation. They don't expire. Cause it's just like dried herbs, basically, like in a capsule.
Okay.
So when people ask me like if it's helping, I'm like, I can't tell you for sure because this experience and my last experience are two totally different things. So yes, I feel so much better postpartum this time around, but also my labor was a lot shorter and not as hard and exhausting and intense. And our daughter didn't go to the NICU and, you know, like I wasn't completely knocked out from an epidural. And I wasn't like at home pumping in the middle of the night, you know, like while my daughter was in the NICU. Right. So it was such a completely different experience. So I can't even compare or be like, oh yeah, it's totally helping. I feel way better. Like I can't give credit to like that thing. It was just literally a completely different experience. Like, although I got an epidural with my last birth, this one was a lot easier. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And we'll get into it. And I do feel like the birth experience that I had this time, because I had still struggled with the fact that I got an epidural at my last birth. Like I kept bringing that back up to the midwife, like at appointments. I'm like, I just feel like I can't do it without it. I feel like I gave up, that I tapped out. And she was always super reassuring and validating of my experience. But after this birth, looking back, I'm completely... like, I needed it. Like, looking back to my birth with Jovi, I'm like, I made the right decision. I needed that epidural to get me through. Mm-hmm. Like, it really brought peace and kind of, like, full circle that, like...
You can trust me every once in a while.
I know you said that before, but it's different. I had to feel it for myself.
Yeah.
You know, like, feeling how this labor went, which was very hard and painful.
You made it look very easy.
It was very painful. But with Jovi, it was so long and I felt like my legs were being ripped off of my body because of the position that she was in, and the labor pains were so extremely different. And they didn't feel progressive. Like with this one, I could feel my contractions moving her down my birth canal. I could feel her like that they were going somewhere. Mm-hmm. And with Jovi, it wasn't. Like, it was so long that I'm like, each contraction, they're like, it brings you closer. And I'm like, really? You said that 12 hours ago. And like, I'm dilated 2 more centimeters. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this time it just felt like my labor was productive. Yeah. And last time it was, I needed the epidural just to relax, take an hour nap, and then push our baby out because I thought I was dying. So yeah, I feel like this birth definitely brought a lot of peace about the last one.
Cool. Mm-hmm. So what did you feel? What was your experience before this birth? So
you're interviewing me?
Yeah. I'm taking over this podcast.
Well, I lost my mucus plug 2 weeks before the birth, exactly 2 weeks before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like 37 weeks. I wasn't quite ready. I'm like, well, I hope the baby doesn't come this early. But then I also was like, well, I can't go to 41 like I did with Jovi. That's like 4 more weeks away. So it started really getting both of us excited. And we were like, oh crap, we have a lot to do. We like hurried up and got stuff done around the house to get ready. And then about a week before, I started having a lot of Braxton Hicks, but about a week before, they were pretty consistent. I was having them every day, consistently through the day, but they weren't painful or anything. I remember I got a non-stress test at 39 weeks, and while I was there hooked up, I had like 2 big contractions, and you could see them on the monitor. And, and the midwife was just asking, like, did you feel those? And I'm like, yes, I definitely felt those. But again, they weren't like really painful. So this was the day before I went into labor. I had the non-stress test because I had Toula right at 39 weeks. Hold on, I got a relatcher on my nipple here. Maybe. So it was the day before. And she, I'd never got checked during my pregnancy. I never got checked to see like how dilated I was or anything like that. So I just went in for my non-stress test, went home, and, Sarah's like, all right, I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon. Obviously she's not like, oh, your body's getting ready or it's coming soon, because you can't really give false hope because it's really impossible to tell. So when doctors are like, oh, your body's ready, like, is it?
Yeah. You don't really
know. Like, you can do a Bishop score for your cervix, but you don't know. So, went home that day and they continued to be a little bit stronger. Like with the non-stress test, I could definitely feel them. And then they started getting a little bit more like just kind of crampy, but it wasn't going anywhere. They were like every 10 minutes for like 24 hours, and they weren't painful. Every once in a while I'd be like, oh, that one's kind of uncomfortable. But I just had a feeling before bed that it was going to happen. But I had told you like the couple nights leading up to it, I'm like, it might be tonight, because I was having so many Braxton Hicks and I was having a lot of prodromal labor. So just very long, getting your body ready. And they started kind of increasing. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to go to bed and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I woke up at 2 a.m. and they were getting to the point where it was too uncomfortable to sleep through. So, but not like uncomfortable enough to be like, we need to go in. So when they get to that point, it's like hard to like go back to sleep, like, okay, let your body rest. And I remember I'd been keeping in touch with my doula too. And I had told her, I think it was like a couple days before or something, that I was having a lot of contractions, or I think it was Sunday. And then Toula came on Wednesday and she's like, well, if you want, she's like, you can do the mile circuit, go curb walking, whatever. And I'm like, I really just want to sit here. And she's like, okay, that's fine too. Yeah. Like, you can try to get labor moving. And I'm like, I'd like to take a long nap instead. And so, it was like 2 a.m. and I think I texted Karishma probably around 7 or 8 in the morning and just kind of let her know what was going on. But 2 a.m, got up, took a shower, and it definitely was getting to the point where they were pretty uncomfortable. Like when I was in the shower, I'd just be swaying and breathing through them. And I started putting birth affirmations on just to listen to, because I felt like that really, really helped me prepare my mind leading up to it. And then around 3:30, I had like the loose stools and bloody show. And I'm like, okay, this is actually going somewhere. And in the morning, I like off and on timed my contractions. I'd be like, maybe I should time them. And then I'm like, don't worry about it right now. And then I don't remember what time I woke you up. Do you know?
No, I woke up when you woke up at 2. I heard you get out of bed. So I was like, okay, today's the day. But I was super exhausted from just the days before, all the adrenaline, because you thought every day was the day. So by the time it actually was, I was exhausted. I just stayed asleep. But how were you emotionally going into this one? Because of everything with Jovi and like how much pain you went through, how much mental exhaustion and the emotional battle with the last one.
Well, I kept telling myself, like, being a birth worker and going to so many births, like, we're always like, oh, it's a second time mom, we'll be in and out of there. You know, first time labors, you never know how long you're going to be there. Second time labors are usually significantly shorter. So,
and you were listening to, I don't even know what they were, but every night they were meditations or whatever.
Meditations and affirmations.
Yeah, which you did not do.
Right. And I just felt like this time I really needed to get my head in the right place. And I'm not great at just sitting there and meditating on my own. So I found this account. Her name's Bridget Taylor on YouTube. And I think it's called Built to Birth. And she had tons of like affirmations. So I would do them like in the shower or while I was laying down, stretching before bed. Because my chiropractor gave me some stretches to help open up my pelvic, my hips, my pelvic floor, and breathing and stuff like that. So I think I started them in January. So at least a month and a half, maybe 2 months before, I was doing it pretty regularly.
Yeah, we were listening to them a lot. So much so that I felt my vagina blossoming in my sleep. There's the same affirmation or meditation.
Once labor,
it was good though.
Yeah, I mean, once labor starts, you do get that adrenaline, but you also, I definitely did have fears creep in. But I remember just kind of feeling like it felt so different from the beginning of my last birth. Because that one started feeling pretty painful pretty quickly. Whereas this one was like, okay, it's getting more painful, but not bad.
Yeah. So you had lost your mucus plug 2 weeks prior, which really kicked us into gear. We started nesting and we started finishing rooms and painting and
scrubbing floors
multiple times. And then 2 weeks later, you've had Braxton Hicks the whole time. They're getting a little more intense. You wake up at 2, you're up all night, showering, getting ready. I'm sleeping. Then I go downstairs with Jovi. We're kind of hanging out. You take a shower at like 10 or 11. Yeah, you had just got out of the shower. I went upstairs around noon.
So I took a shower at 2 a.m. and at 10?
I think so. I from what I remember.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then
I could have taken a bath.
I went for a walk with Jovi and Hutch because I was like, okay, I'm super nervous. For me, this one was hard because with the first one, you don't know what to expect. So you're kind of like, okay, I'm nervous, but I don't
have babies every day.
I don't even have an experience to relate this to. And with this one, I was like, I didn't realize how much the last birth had affected me until this one got closer and closer.
Yeah.
And
we watched the birth video like a week before I gave birth or a few days before I gave birth.
Which was therapeutic.
Yeah.
It really was. Because you're like seeing it, looking back, everything's 2020. You know how everything turns out. You see like, oh, wow, Jovi really couldn't breathe that well. Yeah. And then it brings back all the emotion, whatever. And yeah, we watched it. And it was pretty therapeutic for me, but it still was like, man, I don't want to go through that again.
Or did that video, though, make you nervous that I was at a birthing center this time and like not right by the NICU like we were for Jovi.
Yeah, because, the difference between 15 minutes and 15 seconds, is a big difference between the birthing room and an operating table, let's say, or the NICU. So that definitely had an effect, but I think I just had more trauma, and I don't like to use the word for some reason, but I didn't realize I had so much. Because I would say I was more nervous with this one going into it. But so after we got back from our walk with Jovi, I went upstairs. You were laying in bed, and we were timing it on the app, and the app's like, okay, pack your bags, go to the hospital, like it's time. And then you're like, no, I'm fine. It's only 5 minutes apart, and I'm like, yes, 5, 1, and 1. Like this is what we're supposed to do. And then you're like, well, no, it's not consistent because sometimes you'd have a 6 minute in there, but sometimes you'd also have a 4 minute in there.
But then I'd have like a 9 minute.
Right. But contractions will give your body a break too, mid whatever. And it's not going to be exactly 5 minutes for, whatever for an hour. And you're like, no, it's not consistent. I was like, okay, well, let's just call the midwife and see what she says. And of course, Sarah's like, yeah, you should definitely come in. And you're like, oh, are you sure? And she reassured us it's time to come in. And then we hang up, and you're like, I just don't want to waste anybody's time, which to me is a foreign thought because it's like we're paying them. It's their job. This is what they get paid to do. So I definitely had to convince you to get going.
Yeah, well,
which was shocking to me because I was up. I'm like, all right, this is it. This is all the signs are here. You couldn't talk through the contractions. You were fine in between them, which confused me.
Yeah,
because with Jovi, you weren't. You were out. You were vomiting. You were crapping all over the place. Like it was chaos with Jovi. With this one, you were talking in between. So I was like, I don't know, but let's just go because it's comfortable there. We can make food. It's nice, it's a long ways away. We should probably get moving. Right.
But leading up to that, so like I was trying to get my contractions going a little bit more. And so once you got back from the walk, I nursed Jovi and put her down for a nap. And I was
the nursing helped.
Right. I was like, okay, maybe if I nurse Jovi, that produces oxytocin. That'll get my contractions going. And that was around 11:30 a.m. So from 2 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., I, was laboring. It was super manageable. So I'm just I remember I went downstairs. I did some podcast stuff. I sent some work emails, did a few things. And then went back upstairs and nursed Jovi, put her down, and my contractions really did pick up at that point. So I crawled into bed, and you laid next to me, and I just put on another birth affirmation, and I remember we were holding hands, and it did get to a point where, I couldn't really talk through them anymore.
And you were doing the moaning, which I'm like, okay, you're in labor. Like, I know this sound,
No, I knew I was in labor, but I think that's where emotionally for me it was hard because with Jovi, I got to the hospital and I was 2 centimeters dilated.
Still not wasting anybody's time.
And that was very discouraging for me. And then how long and hard. I just didn't want to be there longer than we had to. And yeah, I did feel like I didn't want to waste anyone's time. So
you were Pam. You were Pam from The Office.
And yeah, I mean, we were keeping the midwife updated. Then I just remember she called and was like, why don't you head this way?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
why haven't you left yet?
They're 5 to 7 minutes apart. And that was around 12:30. So we got everything ready and headed to the birthing center.
Beautiful day, sunny.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. Just beat the traffic going there.
Well, it's still like a 40-minute drive. So we got there at 1:20. But on the way there, it was, I didn't realize how far in labor I was until I got in the car, because it was, laboring in the car was very, very hard. I was like, I'm in so much pain. Like, I cannot sit in this position, but I did. I sat there with my seatbelt on, And I could tell you were nervous then at that
I wasn't
point.
nervous. I just wanted to get there.
Right, but you were like,
because I know we waited too long.
We did hit traffic, remember? Because you're like, I'm going to go around on the shoulder. And I'm like, our exit was right there. We could see it. But the traffic was so backed up. And I'm like, don't go over any bumps.
Yeah, it wasn't really the shoulder.
But you were like, I'm going to speed. I'm like, babe, do not get pulled over. And you're like, why? The police will just escort us there. And I'm like, I cannot delay any, like, we cannot pull over.
I wouldn't stop. If the lights went on, I wouldn't have stopped.
Yeah.
I would have waved them over and been like, hey. Because we waited so long.
We didn't wait
we
so
waited
long.
Way too long.
No,
yes,
we didn't.
Yes, we did.
We left at the perfect time.
Okay.
Babe. We left it. I was
You're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah. I was really comfortable at home laboring. We left at the perfect time. You did have to convince me. I feel like if we would have left any later, it would have been a mistake. So it was the perfect time to go. Any bump that you went over, I was like, it was extremely painful. So we get to the birthing center, and Maria, the midwife Maria, meets us outside, and I think Sarah, the assistant. And we go inside, and Karishma met us there, our doula. And I start obviously having contractions like right when we get there, and I'm just standing up and swaying. I'd put on my diaper before we left, my adult Depends, because I'm like, if my water breaks, like in the car or anything, I have this on. So, we get there, start laboring, and it was just really peaceful having the same birthing team. Like having
same doula, same
Karishma, and Sarah. And then my mom came this time. I had her run to Walgreens and pick up photos that I had printed of my grandmas that I really wanted there. For some reason, during my pregnancy, I just felt like really connected to my ancestry. And one of my mantras was like, you're birthing with all the women around the world. And I just kept telling myself, like, all these women have gone before me. Like, my one grandma had 9 children. My other one had 7. So I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. And the power that was in them is in me. So I really wanted those pictures. And so, I don't even remember when my mom got there or the birth photographer.
She got there right after us. The birth photographer right after us.
Yeah. So I was laboring, standing up, swaying a lot. And then I had to go to the bathroom, and of course, Krish was like, do you want to do some
toilet poses?
Yeah, which I know are so beneficial because I always make clients do them too. But I was like, I cannot. So I peed, and like a contraction came in. I had to stand up and just like sway and hold on to the wall. And right when I got there, Sarah, the midwife, asked, she's like, okay, like a couple of things, like, do you want to be checked? And I was like, no, I do not want to be checked this time, because I knew it would be a mental game for me, knowing, because I could have gotten there and been a 4, or I could have been an 8. And if I was an 8, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to have the baby any minute now. Or if I was a 4, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, I have so long to go. So I have no idea how dilated. I didn't get checked once during my birth. So I decided not to get checked. And then, I went to the bathroom, then crawled into bed and did some side lying with a peanut ball for a while. And I just remember, because my legs were apart, because I had one under the peanut ball, one on top. And during the contraction, I had to hold my vagina. Like, I felt sharp pains in my vagina, and I would have to hold on to it and like breathe through it. Like when you're going pee, like when little kids like have to go potty and they're like holding on, being like, oh, I have to pee. Like that's how I was like holding on in between. And I labored in bed for a while. Then I don't remember somebody was like, do you want to try the tub? And I was like, let's do another contraction here. And then
I think I said that.
I don't know.
I'm basically a doula.
Okay, babe. You're basically my doula.
Yeah.
You and Karishma.
Basically, I'm a doctor.
Okay. But before I got into the tub, I just labored on the bed for a while. But I'd like to know, up until that point, before I got in the tub, what was going through your mind?
Nothing. I think it was all happening super fast. I think when the anticipation is always worse for me than anything. So once things happen, I was calm, cool, collective. You kind of just rise to the occasion. When we got there and you didn't get checked, and I was like, because you had said before, if I do get checked, I want them to tell you and you not say anything. Mm-hmm. And you said no for that option too. Mm-hmm. So in my head, I don't know what's going on. I'm just listening to you and watching you.
Which by that, you can tell what's going on.
I could. The thing that threw me off was the fact that you were talking in between contractions, which was not the case with Jovi. Mm-hmm. And you seemed way more present. You seemed way more composed, all right, like in control almost. Like the pain wasn't overcoming you. Mm-hmm. During the contraction, you were not. You know, your eyes would roll back and everything, whatever. Your body just kind of took over. But in between, when we would talk, you know, I'd be like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I think we're going to be here for a while, was my thought. Was like, okay, just we're going to be here for a while, relax. And then every time they would check the baby's heartbeat, it was good. Like I was watching it. I could see during contractions, nothing was happening. So that really, like, I was like, okay, everything's good. And then you were moving around, walking around, whatever. So I'm like, okay, we're just going to be here a while. Let's kind of settle in. And then you started.
Once I got in the tub.
Well, then you were almost going to throw up. So we had this little throw up bag by you, but you never did.
I didn't feel like I was going to. I said, I don't think I'm going to throw up. I just had those like hiccups and a little bit of, I had such bad acid reflux. So I'd like burp up a little bit in my mouth, but I didn't feel nauseous. Yeah. Or like I was going to throw up. Whereas before I got that sick feeling, nauseous. Yeah. You know, nausea.
Yeah. So you were on the bed and I was like, why don't you go in the bathtub? Like it's in my head. Mm-hmm. I love taking baths because it's less weight on your body. So I was like, why don't you just jump in the bathtub and relax for a little bit? And you got in there, they drew you the bath. And then you had, before we got in the bath, so over at the birth center, they like bake you bread for when the baby comes, right? Like there's a bun in the oven sort of thing. And I had heard Sarah say to the nurse, like, go start the bread, but quietly, so you couldn't hear it. But I heard it. In my head, I'm like, this is a bit premature. You know, I'm like, we're going to be here a long time. You don't start the bread now. It doesn't take that long. They got the bread making machine there. But she had she does it more than I do. She had seen something.
Does she?
Yeah. Well, because last time, too, when you were in the bathtub with Jovi, she's like, it's coming soon because of the way you were grunting and moaning. Yeah. She's like, you're in transition. You transitioned 2 or 3 times with Jovi.
It was wild.
So I was like, you know, that kind of brought up the first birth. And I was like, that's, you know, I'm like, all right, just relax, keep, you know, whatever. Then you got in and I thought you were doing well. You were moaning a lot, but then you were telling everybody, because the mood was different. The mood was lighter. It was, you can tell that you were in a great place. So everyone around you was pretty happy. And they were like cracking jokes in between contractions. And you were like, all right, guys, everybody shut up. Like, I need to get in the zone. So that's when I knew, okay, something's happening here. Like, you knew that you had to stay in the zone. Your body's like,
when I was having a contraction, I needed silence in the room.
But like, even in between, you were saying, all right, guys, like, enough with the jokes, enough with the talking. Like, your body was telling you it's getting closer.
Mm-hmm. Well, so before I got in the tub, I remember standing on the end of the bed, like shortly after we got there and swaying. And I know, like, from the outside, you said I looked so composed and just like completely different. But like my internal dialogue was a lot different. Like I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to transfer to a hospital. I need an epidural. There's no way I'm going to get through this. But then I would tell myself, I'm like, okay, by the time the ambulance gets here, you have to transfer in the ambulance and Vito can't come with you. You're going to be alone. Like, the midwife will be there, but Karishma won't be there. Vito won't be there. And then you have to go through being in the ER, getting admitted. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm like, I feel like things are progressing. So by the time we get to the hospital, by the time, you know, like Vito drives there and I'm like, this will be so traumatic. Like, for you, even like, you're like, I can't be with my wife. She's in labor right now. I have to drive, you know what I mean? Drive, find parking, all this stuff. And I just kept convincing myself like it wasn't worth it to ask to be transferred. And I feel like I did a really good job at battling like my inner voices, because it would come up and I'd be like, I cannot do this. And then I'd be like, you can do it. Like, you can do this. You are doing this. And I remember even at certain points saying that out loud, like being like, I can do this. I can do this. And then everybody would be like, you are doing it, you know, like you are doing this. And so there was that definite doubt and inner dialogue, that I wasn't going to be able to get through it, because I knew it was just going to get harder. You know, like labor doesn't really get easier as you go. So I decided to get in the tub, and I didn't know how it would feel, because I just felt like with Jovi, nothing helped. But there was definitely some relief getting in the tub. And I would just kind of be able to relax in between contractions. And I was on hands and knees for every contraction. And I just remember pushing so hard against the bottom with my hand that, like, even after the baby came, like, my finger was tingly and numb because I was putting so much weight on it, like pushing in between. And yeah, I just remember everybody around me, like you said, the mood was just kind of lighter, and me being like, I need silence to focus. Like, I'm somebody who, like, I don't know how somebody turns on the TV, then sits down and does work on their computer. Like, I'm like, I need everyone to shut up. Like, no distractions, nothing to, if I'm going to sit down and write a blog, I can't turn on the TV and write a blog. Like, I don't know how people do that. But I need silence to focus. So I asked everyone to shut up. And I also just want to say, like, that's like so important during labor, is just to be able to vocalize like your needs and your wants and everything like that, because the people there are professionals. They're not taking it personally. Yeah. And me as a doula, like, I've been told to shut up in labor, and I wasn't like, oh my gosh, what a biatch. You know, like, I was like, oh, she needs me to be quiet right now. Like, I'm here to help protect her space.
When you were on the bed and I suggested going in the tub, you were like, yeah, that's fine. You had told me that you didn't want, that you really needed the physical touch. The hip squeezes weren't working, but you just liked that we had our hands on you. Yeah. So when you got in the tub, like, I was rubbing your back, and then I told Karishma, like, I kind of like motioned to her, like, hey, rub her back or just keep your hands on her, because you were saying that you needed the physical touch. It wasn't like a pressure point or anything like that. It was just you knowing that we're here and us having, like, patting your back, like when I'm sick, you know, and I need you to rub my back, sort of thing.
I did love the physical touch. Like, during each contraction, I felt like, there was somebody like rubbing my lower back, somebody rubbing my shoulders, somebody holding my hand, somebody putting a cold rag on me. And I felt just very cared for. And that's what I needed, was just to, because I think I would close my eyes during the contractions. I don't really remember. But you're just like so in the zone that I just needed to feel your guys' presence and support. So, it's very important to be able to ask for what you need. Yeah. So I'm like, absolutely. I need physical touch, and I need you to not talk. So, and then there was a very, like, the craziest feeling, during one of my contractions. I just grunted, and I couldn't control it. I couldn't help it. It was just like in the middle of the contraction, and it was so primal. It was just like this, type thing. And I'm like, am I pushing? I'm like, I'm not really pushing. I don't feel like the baby's right there, but that was my body moving the baby down. Yeah.
And that was the same noise you made with Jovi when you had asked for the epidural and you were walking around and they were on their way, and you made that noise and you kind of squatted. You were standing up, and instinctually in me, I was like, oh, she's like, this is, I had run behind you to, like, be ready to catch the baby, you know? So when you grunted in the bathtub, I was like, oh shoot, like, this is it. You know, we're at game time here. She's going to start pushing soon. And you were on all fours, so like I would check behind you to see if I could see anything. And you had all sorts of crazy stuff coming out of you, but you had grunted at time. Honestly, I don't know the timing. I don't know how long you were pushing or grunting or whatever, but I was in prime position to catch the baby. But then you had to change positions because we brought what do you call that thing? It's like a cloth. It's like a aerial yoga swing or something.
Yeah, so you can hold on to it and like do squat down outside of the tub. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I need this. And they're like, in the tub? Because you can't really like get it wet. And I was like, no, I just need it to hold on to. Like I needed...
Because you couldn't really hold on to the edge of the bathtub.
Right. And my hand was going numb from pushing against the bottom. So there's, like it looks like a silk that's like anchored to the ceiling. And I'm like, I need this to hold on to. So then I kind of changed positions in the tub from being like front to back to like being sideways so that I could hold on to that. And I would just kind of cling on to that in between contractions, or during the contractions, I guess. Toula's a little loud baby. So yeah, it was definitely, I felt the transition, within me. Did you notice, I guess, like an outward transition of me?
Just the noises you were making were familiar for me to know that it was game time. And then there was a time where which I thought you had said, I just broke my back. And I kind of laughed because I'm like, I'm sure she's in a lot of pain, but she definitely did not just break her back, because I'm sure you were in a ton of pain, and I'm sure it felt like you broke your back. But then you had said, I just broke my bag.
Yeah, I felt like during the contraction because I had started pushing then. Because I would have, after that random grunt, I would have like some normal contractions. Then I'd have one where I'd be a little bit grunty again. But then once I was holding on to the silk, and once I was like in that different position, more just on my knees and then hanging on to that, I had a contraction and I was very grunty and I felt my water break, and I looked down and I could see it shooting out of me. And I'm like, oh, my water just broke. And it definitely got a lot more intense after that.
Yeah. So then your water broke, and then I think you had grunted maybe 1 or 2 times after that. And then the midwife's like, do you want to touch your baby's head? And then I was like, wait, what? I didn't know we were there yet. I don't think anybody really did. Yeah, I think it happened so fast from you getting in the bathtub and the fact that nobody checked you, like as far as how dilated you were. Your water broke, but you were in water, so like it wasn't real for the people around you, because like I didn't see anything come out. And then what they were saying, like, slow down your breath. And then I was like, is the baby coming out too fast?
She told me, because I was getting really intense with the contractions of like just like really bearing down and pushing, and she was telling me to slow down. She's like short breaths,
right?
Like
short, yeah.
Instead of being like just all of my intensity, like, okay, short breaths, like breathe your baby out, short breaths. And the reason they say that is because if you just push really fast, you could tear more. So if you're they were probably trying to slow me down a little bit to allow my body to stretch. And like up until that point, like it was the craziest thing. Like I could feel her head like going through my vagina, like coming down the birth canal. I could feel it. It was just the wildest experience, like feeling all of that. And
well, because the midwife goes,
I didn't know if I was there to push yet either. But then once I started pushing, I felt the ring of fire. Yeah. And I was like, they were like, you need to like slow down.
Because Maria goes, okay, the baby's turning, and you go, I can feel it. Yeah. Like you were so excited, but also in a lot of pain. You're like, I can feel it.
Oh, I felt her rotating in me. But once you feel that ring of fire, then I was like, oh, this hurts. Like, I got to push past this. Like, I need to get her out right now because this.
And then she's like, touch your baby. Do you want to touch your baby's head? And you're like, no.
I know. I was like, nope.
No. But so they weren't saying like, there wasn't a lot of coaching. There was no quiet.
Coaching.
It was quiet. You could
just
hear
when
the
she
music.
told me to,
You
like,
could hear
slow
your
down.
grunting. Yeah. Short breaths. And then it was just quiet. And then she was like, do you want to touch your baby's head? Just kind of throwing it out there. That was the only thing they had said the whole time. And then they were like, okay, Vito, get ready to catch the baby. And then I was like, oh, geez. I had told them I wanted to catch the baby, but, I don't know if they think I'm joking or I didn't know if I was serious, when I said it.
You didn't know how you'd feel in the moment.
I didn't know, how I'd feel in the moment. But it all happened so fast, and you still seemed so present. Like, that's the difference with this one and the last one. I think you were in so much pain. You weren't even there. Like, during the contraction, your eyes were rolled back. In between contractions, you were snoring. You were projectile vomiting. Like, it was just a way different energy. Everything was different. With this one, I was like so empowered by you and how you were handling everything and how just present you were. It felt very natural, maybe the word is, but it felt like, oh, this is what birth looks like, but under perfect circumstances.
Right. It's what birth can look like if everything's perfect.
Right. So like the baby's heart rate was not moving at all during contractions. Was not moving at all when she was, crowning or whatever.
Yeah, she was just happy the whole time.
Right, the whole time. So I was like, okay, in my head, I'm like, okay, there's no umbilical cord wrapping. There's nothing in the way. So I was like, this is just perfect. Everything is perfect. Everything is looking good. It just felt easier. And then you were in between, even while you were pushing, you were talking to me.
Was I?
Yeah, you're like, just tell me I can do it. But the way you're just like that. It wasn't like a plea. You weren't like desperate. You seemed so there.
Well, both of us were bawling at my last birth because I was in so much pain, and this one was definitely different.
So I was like, you're there. You got this. I'm like, you got maybe 2 more pushes. Like, I didn't know what even to say to you because I felt like you just had it, And then, so they go, okay, Vito, get ready to catch the baby. And I was like, okay. So I think I was wearing a short sleeve shirt, but I like rolled up my sleeves even higher, whatever. And then it's a wild image. So you push her out and then they kind of guide her to your front, which is where I'm at. And then I can see her underwater. And she's like kind of got a cry face going, but wasn't crying obviously because she was underwater. And then you just like, you can't believe it, what you're seeing. The whole thing is a miracle. Childbirth is unbelievable. So then I grab her and I take her out of water and she's clean. She's still got the whatever on her, but she's like a clean baby because she just went through a car wash basically. And so I grabbed her, I caught her.
Right, she's not like bloody or anything.
Right, yeah, she just like got herself a nice little rinse. And then, take her out of the water and hand her over to you right away. And she doesn't really cry for maybe like 5
No, she started crying right away.
No, it was, trust me.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay.
She like looked like she was going to cry, but she didn't make a noise for a good like 5 or so seconds. We could rewatch the video. And then she let out a cry. And then I was like, okay. But now that's when the anxiety kicked back in for me. Because everything seemed to have gone fine. I didn't know that Jovi's heart rate wasn't recovering the first time. I didn't know that there was things wrong. That you knew, that the doctors knew, that I didn't know. Until the nurse came in and said, why aren't you prepping for a C-section? And I was like, wait, what? And then right away, Sarah's like, I can see the head. Like, what do you want me to do? So then I was like, well, what's going on? It got kind of chaotic. And then afterwards got really chaotic. So this time, once she was born, I handed it over to you and you're like, she cried. And you're like, that's what you wanted to hear, right? And I'm like, I don't know yet. So like that's for me when the
she
anxiety
didn't even
kicked
cry.
in.
She started like screaming because I remember before you're like, I just want the baby to come out screaming.
Yeah.
And then she started screaming, and I was like, babe, she's screaming. Like that's
Right. But it wasn't
you know?
like the movies screaming where they're like wailing. She still had like babies have to work stuff out still, which they don't really tell you. But with Jovi, it was more to work out to the point where she needed to go to the hospital. So, but when she was born is when my nerves started kicking in because I was like, okay, I'm watching her breathe, I'm watching everything, and then the bathtub fills with blood, or what it looks like because it's water and blood, just like red water. So now I'm asking the midwife, is that a good amount of blood? Like, what are we looking at? That looks like a lot of blood. And she's like, yeah, no, that's normal, that's fine. So now I'm just like skeptical because now I feel like from the last time is when the problems start. So then you get back on the bed, you're holding her. She hasn't really latched yet. You're kind of just like giving her that skin to skin. And then you need to deliver the placenta. Well, it was a very happy, you were in the bathtub. We were kissing and crying and it was great. You were laughing. You're like, I can't believe I did it. Oh my gosh.
I was in shock.
Yeah, you just kept saying, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I did it. And it was super empowering to watch you. You did a great job.
Well, and so a lot of times in the hospital too, when they say that they'll allow delayed cord clamping, a lot of times they'll do it for a certain set amount of time, like 1 or 2 minutes or something. Maria kept checking my cord. My cord pulsed for 10 minutes before they clamped it.
Yeah.
Because she's like, it's still pulsing. It's still pulsing. Yeah. Which is nice that they, you get that full amount of time and then you cut the cord again. But also,
cut the cord, yeah.
I remember asking him, like, do you want to see like what we had? And we had a girl.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I said the gender, which I was thinking boy, but I was hoping girl. And then when I saw it was a girl, I was like, I can't believe it.
You and I were both kind of like, we think it's a boy, but it's probably going to be a girl.
Yeah, yeah. I would have been more shocked if it was a boy.
Me too.
And now I'll be even more shocked if we ever have a boy. We're going to have all girls.
Vito's
and
convinced.
I'm going to have to figure something out. I love them to death. I just think my heart can't handle it. It's too much. Girls they just steal your heart. And I'm sure my son will too, but we'll see. So cut the cord, say it's a girl. Jovi's watching on
FaceTime.
On Zoom. She didn't, I told my mom to like, hey, just limit the exposure. But so Jovi's like, oh, she's watching. She's like, Papa, Mama. And then we're like, hey, look, it's your baby sister. You want to say hi? And she goes, baby, and she's pointing and she's laughing and smiling. And she's a super good big sister. But to get back to the story, now we're on bed. Oh, and then you go, oh my gosh, what time is it?
Oh yeah. I was like, what time was she born? Cause it was still light outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way it's still light outside. Like I'm thinking in my mind, like the days just got significantly longer.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, it's 4:30. And you're like, what?
Well, I said, what time was the time of birth? And they said 4:30. And I'm like, no way. Because we got there at 1:20. And she was born at 4:30.
It was a long 3 hours, but then a very short 3 hours too.
It was long to me.
Yeah. So, but either way, so you get on the bed, you deliver the placenta, you're shaking.
Oh yeah, I got
like
the shakes horribly this time.
Which regardless if they say, oh, this is normal, or like, oh, expect her to shake afterwards, all the hormones, watching it is not fun for anybody. To watch you, I couldn't imagine, like, I know people have epilepsy and they seize. I couldn't imagine having to watch that all the time. Because you were talking through it, but I was like, you need to stop talking.
My shakes were like super intense.
Yeah.
And they lasted a long time, which I know is normal, so I wasn't worried about it.
Right. And I wasn't extremely worried because no one else was, but I'm also like, stop talking and just breathe. Just you see what your body's doing. And then you delivered the placenta, and then like
I think I gave her to you to
I was
do
holding her.
skin to skin.
Mm-hmm. But I just kept asking, like, is that a lot of blood? Because it just seemed I guess with Jovi, I was preoccupied with Jovi, making sure she was okay, that I didn't really see all the blood that came with placenta, so I was asking a lot of questions. And they're like, it's definitely more than we'd like to see. And they measured it and everything, and they're like, if it's over this amount, then we transfer. And I'm like, well, what amount are we at? She's like, we're pretty close. Mm-hmm. So in my head now, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting my shoes on, I'm getting my jacket on. I'm like, we're going to transfer.
You did that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I told your mom, I go, we're going to transfer. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I go, it's not there yet. I go, but we're going to transfer.
But before that, I mean, they had been measuring the whole time. So Sarah was like, hey, like, you know, I think it's a really good idea to give you the shot of Pitocin and give you the oral medication to slow down the breathing. So I got all of that.
Bleeding. Not breathing. Bleeding.
Oh, bleeding. I said breathing.
Yeah.
My bad. Oh, but the bread was ready.
The bread was ready. Perfect timing. So, yeah. So, technically, you hemorrhaged. That brought a whole bunch of fear
right,
into me.
Because if I would have lost any more blood than I had, I would have had to have transferred.
Right. So, but they gave you the right stuff. I was super, super impressed with the Burr Ridge Birth Center. They are very professional. It's very clean. It's extremely comfortable, but what's the word I'm thinking of? It's like comfortable, but also it's just extremely professional.
Right. It's comfortable, but you also know, like,
you're in good hands.
Right.
They're not just like hanging around. They're there to do work.
But you know, like, if anything happens, you're going to be okay.
You're right. Yeah. Yes. They did a very, very good job. And we'll definitely go back, and hopefully it's all just the same experience. Yeah, so then they were going to go stitch you up, but then you didn't need it.
Woohoo.
No tearing. Then they drew you like an herbal bath. Mm-hmm. You were in there. I was holding the baby. That
first pee after you give birth, because
it's a burn.
It burns so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Eesh.
It is not fun. So they have like a peri bottle, and they have an herbal mix in there too that you can use. But that only lasted like a few days. It wasn't horrible, but the first couple are like, that hurts.
Yeah. So with this birth, though, for me at least, it was so different than the first one. It was so easy for me, or just like for the baby. It was easy for the baby. You were in more control.
Right, the baby was literally like in the perfect position.
Right. Everything was perfect. With the first one, there were some, not even complications, but just some roadblocks that led to a NICU stay and stuff. But this one it took me, I would say like a week after she was born to like relax.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I was like, it's not okay. Like, something's not okay. Everything went so perfectly that I was like, this is not how it goes. I only had one experience, So I couldn't really let go of that. And then, so your mom was in town, and I kind of just like removed myself for the first week. Just wasn't really around. I mean, I was around. Hey, are you okay? You need anything? And then once you're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I would just
like,
kind of leave.
Middle of night, I'd be like, hey, go change her.
Yeah. So yeah, right. But
and you'd take care of Jovi while I was taking care of Toula.
Yeah, I would go for walks. I would just kind of leave with Jovi. Like, I couldn't really. I was too nervous to like even look at her, which is really weird. But just because it went so perfectly. But it's just how it was. It was a great birth.
Well, I feel like it's interesting for you sharing that, because a lot of people talk about the mom's point of view and postpartum trauma or anxiety with moms is pretty normal, but they don't really talk about it with partners, whereas it's a completely normal and valid thing too that happens. Whereas like I feel like I had it with Jovi, and then this time like not at all. I remember after this time looking at you and being like, it's okay, everything's fine.
Yeah.
like, we're all good. And
yeah, we were.
You were really worried about the hemorrhage though too, because at the birthing center you go home that night. So we went home that night, and you were like, "Can we stay the night?" Like, I don't.
Well, yeah, they're like, "We're gonna hold you a little longer because you hemorrhaged," and I was like, "Oh, okay, great. We'll leave in the morning." And then she goes, "Yeah, so like in an hour or two, you guys will probably head out." And I was like, "No, we're not." I think I said it. I was like, "An hour or two?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Yeah, an hour or two. You're going to go home tonight." I was like, "She hemorrhaged." Like I was going back and forth. So that bothered me, because then don't Google things.
Well,
but basically you can hemorrhage for up to 6 or 12 weeks or something if you're like overdoing it at home or whatever. And then they're like, don't climb the stairs. Don't do this. Stay in the room. And I go, but listen, that's cute. But you can't tell. We have another kid. Our bedroom's upstairs. She's not going to lay in bed for a week. How many times realistically can she go up and down the stairs? And they're like, just go downstairs in the morning, go upstairs at night, take your naps on the first floor on the couch or whatever. And then if you got clots, send us a picture, let us know, which you did. So yeah, there was more for you that I was worried about.
Right. Like, I feel like for me, I was like, I'm okay. Like, it's fine. But you were like, we got into a couple arguments of like, when I had to like make an extra trip upstairs, you'd be like super upset. But it's also because I know you love me and you care about me, but it's also hard just to be on one floor.
It's so temporary.
Doing it.
It's so temporary.
It's so little. I know, and I really tried. I did. I took full advantage of the first week up to 2 weeks of not doing too much.
As you should.
Right, for sure. But like you said, it's hard when you have another kid, and you went back to work pretty soon after. Although, like, with the weather and stuff, you've had some days at home, like, here and there. But you had that job in, far away kind of and stuff. So,
nah. I was doing odds and ends things. But regardless, just take care of yourselves, moms. Please. You just had a baby.
I know, but I feel like that just didn't help the anxiety thing afterwards for you.
No, definitely not. It didn't help that you were like, I don't care.
I was not like that at all. At all.
Just to all mothers out there, take your time. Relax.
Yeah.
You just performed a miracle. Treat yourself to doing nothing.
Treat yourself. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the experience for me at the end of the birth was just, it was wild.
And then her umbilical cord fell off on the third day, and then it started pussing. So I'm like, what is this? Why did this fall off? What's going on? And that was a thing. It wasn't a major thing, but it was like a thing. Mm-hmm. Like, now she can get infected. That's not good. And then she had jaundice, which was normal, but they were just like, she'll poop it out. She was pooping a lot. So I was like, okay, that I'm not too worried about. The umbilical cord I was worried about. Yeah. But they put something on it. I don't know, which was all good. She lost weight, which is normal, then gained it right back. Everything's been great. Mm-hmm. At first it was like, oh, this is too good to be true. But then now I'm just kind of like, no, we were blessed. Mm-hmm. Everything went well. She was in my position. We had a great team. Yeah. Everything was good. The bread they made us was bomb.
So good.
So good.
Butter and honey.
So good. And then
we had a birth photographer this time, and she did such an awesome job.
She was super nice.
Yes, very. I remember, this is like, you have weird thoughts during labor, but I remember, because I was like, I didn't really notice when she got there, but I remember at one point in labor, it was before I got in the tub, and I saw her, and I was like, our birth photographer has a really nice butt.
That's what I'm saying. You were so present this time.
I'm like, I'm in labor, and our birth photographer.
She definitely works out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was so nice. Oh my gosh. If anybody in the Chicagoland area is looking for a birth photographer, hit me up and I'll give you her info, because she was amazing.
Got you a gift afterwards. Just a really, that's what I'm saying. The whole environment was just really nice. It was light. It was happy. Mm-hmm. It was.
And we got like those like good couple hours after she was born, because we didn't really get that with Jovi, Right. So they didn't like do her weight or measurements for like 2-3 hours, and everything was so
great.
Relaxing.
Yeah, it was great.
Big shout out to Sarah, the assistant at Burr Ridge Birth Center. She's the best.
Why?
She's everywhere all the time.
Yeah,
doing everything.
She was doing everything. Yeah,
like she's the nurse there. She's just awesome. And then of course our midwife Sarah and Maria and Krishma.
Yeah, they're all great there. Mm-hmm. Great people, super nice, very professional. Like I said, like very knowledgeable.
Because I had the same birthing team, that like was very calming for me. That because Sarah wasn't even on that day to deliver babies, you know, and she came to deliver mine, which I'm super grateful for because I feel like I definitely was in my head about the last birth. So having the same midwife and doula who were with me through the previous experience to understand like where I'm coming from, to be there was just like so peaceful for me.
Yeah.
What?
I'd be curious. I bet you she did it for me.
She's like, I actually need to be there more for Vito.
She's like, I know you're on call, but I know Vito's gonna be really stressed out if I'm not there.
She's like, let me take care of him because it'll be a lot.
Right. But right. I didn't need her to take care of me, but like her being there was definitely, and the other midwives there are great. I'm not,
for sure.
But like you said, just having the same, there needs to be, for me at least, familiarity. And especially because this was at a birthing center, and I'm like, what? I've never even heard of one until I met you. I never heard of what a doula is until I met you. So it's all super different, and she knows. She knows how I am. She's like, I'll take this one.
That's so funny.
That's my guess.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because every appointment you came to, like when it was with like the other midwife, we'd like run out of time because you were asking so many questions. We'd be there for an hour and she'd be like, I have to go see other people now. But like,
no, she said that. She never said that.
Yes.
One time she said, we're running behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not running behind. We were making them run behind.
Right.
Because
wow.
Any appointment Vito goes to.
They answered everything and they were never made me feel stupid or, you know, it was good.
It was really good. Right after I was like, I will never do that again.
I just don't get why people don't ask questions. Just ask questions.
I know. And you've taught me that, which I believe, I mean, when it comes to birthing, I'm huge on like asking questions because I think you really need to interview your provider and you need to, in the birthing room, if they're like, we need to do this or that, you need to ask a million questions. For me, with other things, I guess I'm just like really submissive.
And ask stupid questions. I'm a huge advocate for asking stupid questions. You throw in...
Not stupid, I'd say obvious.
Ask the obvious questions. Because they may seem stupid, like, oh, that's a dumb question, but it's a feeler question. Like, ask the most simple, oh, what does that mean? Oh, what's this? Ask for a definition of the most basic thing. You can really know, you know, like, does this person take this seriously or did they take a test and pass? Let's say you're interviewing an OB or whatever, or whomever.
Or even just how they respond to you.
Right, yeah.
Like, are they going to be a caring, nurturing provider?
Right.
Or are they going to be like, dude, come on.
Right, exactly. So I'll ask every question everywhere I go. Not even just because I want to know, like, who are these people in their character? Because when things don't go well, are they going to try to pass the buck and be like, oh, this isn't my fault? Like, I need someone who's going to own it. And they're going to own it a lot of the times when they answer the obvious questions. The way they answer it, if it's polite or if it's rude, it's like, okay, I know like who this person is, or you can tell more. I don't know. That's been my experience with everything. I just ask the most obvious questions.
Yeah.
Even when like, if you're getting a quote to get your plumbing done, just be like, how does plumbing work? I've asked that so many. How does it work? How does it work? How does a toilet flush? I know how it works, but I want to make sure you know how it works because you're going to be messing with my toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. You and I are very different, but I love that about you. I think that it's like so important. And I feel like you've taught me to ask more questions for sure. But yeah, I think postpartum for me, like after I had the baby, obviously there's that immediate relief, but also I was like, holy crap, that was...
Oh, I have a video of you. We got to post that.
No.
Because you're like, I am never doing this again. Give me the epidural, plug me in, give me all the medication. Right. I'll never do that again. I did it. Feels great. Hoorah. Whatever. I'm done. And then like 8 hours later, you're like, we're coming back here. I'm doing this again.
No, it was like the next day. I was like, no, I would do it again. You know?
Yeah.
And each day, then I was like, oh, yeah, we're totally going back to the birthing center.
Yeah. But I have you on video saying, we're
I know,
because
you're like, this is not true.
Yeah, I was like,
but also, you cannot quote me an hour after birth, you know?
That's why it was funny. That's why I videotaped it.
Yeah. But it was a really good experience. I definitely feel like I got all the feel-good hormones this time, and I had a lot of adrenaline and felt great for like the first week before the real tiredness set in.
Yeah, everyone's like, how's Liz doing? You know, like with postpartum depression and stuff, whatever. I'm like, she's great. Like, she just seems like she got great energy. It doesn't seem like it doesn't even fake at all. You know, it wasn't like you were masking anything. She looks great. She sounds great. She's smiling a lot, laughing a lot. So it's like, I think everything's good.
Just such a different experience from last time. With Jovi, I did have like tons of intrusive thoughts, and just, it was really, really hard for me. And this time, not at all. I had like one night where I was like, babe, check the monitors. Jovi okay? Because in my mind, I was like, somebody's coming in to kidnap her. But they weren't.
Yeah.
But that used to be like every night, all night for me before. So this time's definitely been way different. We did have to, get Toula's ties released, which was tough. But yeah, I have felt great. I mean, there's still normal postpartum stuff. Like, I'm tired, and I'm definitely, you have moments where you're more emotional. And I think with 2 kids and nursing them both is a lot. Sometimes I feel like I'm just giving a lot.
Yeah.
Which I am. And
you're a rock star.
That's part of motherhood, and that's part of where I'm at right now. I'm not ready to completely wean Jovi, and I'm not, ready for that part. But it is demanding on your body. So
I would have no idea.
You really don't.
You're a rock star, and I admire you from an outsider's perspective.
Thank you. Oh, I just want to talk about hemorrhoids quick before we wrap up. I was really nervous about the first couple poops, and it was not bad at all. But then the hemorrhoids came, and it was the most painful thing ever. I felt like I was pooping glass out. And then while I was pooping, my vagina would start having spasms, which nobody talks about. They're not like, while you're pooping, your vagina is going to start to contract and hurt, and you're going to have spasms. And it's like, oh. Or even like how bad the uterine contractions are after too. But I got on a prescription hemorrhoid cream. I'm eating prunes every day. And it's better, except for the prunes make me really gassy, and it's not good. But other than that, I feel like everything's going really well. I'm really happy. At first I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it with 2 kids, but you just do.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that you learn in motherhood.
I don't know how we're going to have sex, but we'll figure it out.
What do you mean? Oh, like timing wise?
Yep.
Yeah, because one of them's always awake. Unless it's like middle of the night, and then we're exhausted. So the timing doesn't work out great right now between naps.
Well, there are people who have like 5 under 5, so they figure it out.
I know we'll figure. I mean, we've made time for things.
Making out?
Yeah. So we'll figure it out. I mean, but also the weather's been weird, so you've been home during the day here and there. But when you're at work and you're working long days and hours, it's going to definitely be a challenge. That's when the non-romantic thing happens, when you're like, we have to schedule it, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Just so sexy.
Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. It's just happening. You have to. When we did the sex challenge, we made ourselves have sex every day. And it always ended up great, but like, you would be exhausted from work, or I'd be tired from whatever, and we would just do it. And it was always bonding, and it was always great. So I think it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, you have to make time for it.
Yeah. Cool.
Sounds hot, right?
Yeah. Super spontaneous.
Hey, it's either that or not.
Yeah. It is what it is now.
Why are you blushing right now?
I don't blush.
We talk so openly about it on the long haul.
I'm not blushing. Am I blushing?
You seem like you are.
I got to pee really bad.
Oh, okay. But yeah, everything went really great. Big shout out to our birth team and the Burr Ridge Birth Center, and everybody who was a part of it. So
big shout out to you, and big shout out to anybody who is trying to conceive or is pregnant or just had a baby,
going to have a
God
baby.
bless you all, because you guys are miracle workers.
Yeah, how
I'll never understand it.
Did you like feel like you were married to Superwoman?
Oh, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you still feel that way though?
Yeah.
Or was
I
it
mean,
just
sometimes
like,
I want to, give you a nuggie. But yeah, you're awesome. You're super strong.
Thanks, babe.
The way you powered through it, you made it seem really easy. So you're like, I can't believe I did it. And I was like, you kind of made it seem pretty easy.
I kept getting so mad. I'm like, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, it was
like,
like,
don't
it
tell
was
me
super impressive.
I made it seem easy.
It was more impressive because of how easy you made it look, knowing that it's not easy. Mm-hmm. So I was like, no, you're a Wonder Woman.
Well, I'm sure like seeing the first experience and seeing the second too, like,
Yeah.
So, and I was like, we're not having any more kids. I remember saying that during labor, but yeah. I'm like, we're for sure having more kids.
Yeah, at least 3 more.
Definitely not 3 more. That's a no.
We'll see.
For me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm grateful that everything went the way it went. I'm grateful that we've kind of had this last month to ponder on it and to absorb everything. Because even like Camille took a few videos and she sent them to me and I could not watch them.
Oh, I could. This time I could, for sure.
It was me laboring and I was just moaning through it. And I was like, I don't want to hear myself. It I don't know. It takes me back there and I'm like, that was really hard. I sound like an animal out in nature. And I don't want to hear it because then I'm like, oh, yeah, my vagina hurts. So we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
But watching the birth video is really cool. Mm-hmm. It was cool. I can only watch it on silence, but it's crazy.
It's awesome. You guys are awesome. And we just pray for all of you listeners that are going through this. Healthy babies, healthy mamas,
And healthy experiences.
Yeah. 100%.
So, all right. We love you guys. Thanks so much for letting us share our story with you. Make sure that you are following along to the episodes that are coming up and changes to the podcast coming up. And thanks for sticking through this journey with me. I love you guys.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy podcast on your podcast app.